Hashtag Keep the Flame Alive is back after a long time, mainly because I'm lazy. And what we're going to discuss is the Yoshinkan. The Yoshinkan, not as a dojo, but as a system of Aikido. And we've got two separate topics here today. One is where are we now? And then where do we want to go? And joining me, we have Darren Friend Shihan, Nic Mills Shihan, Jim Do Shihan, Ramlan Ortega Shihan. Welcome, gentlemen. Okay. Oh, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Okay. Now we're just going to hit the ground running, yeah? Where do you see us now as a group? Darren, you want to head off on the left of my screen?
Where do I see us now as a group?
Yep.
Scattered, individualized, growing apart is where I see us as a group.
Is that a positive or negative?
I don't think it's a positive, although maybe from individuals' perspective it might be. But yeah, I think as an organization, we have lost our way, lost our leadership, and it's going to be pretty hard to pull it back together.
Okay, Nic?
Where are we now? I don't quite, I guess my cup is half full. The Yoshinkan, as the old Ochiai dojo, or before that other Thambu dojos, that's gone. There's no sort of central mecca anymore, and it's not coming back. That's not going to happen. But you know, I posted this about the Kyoto seminar. Yoshinkan Aikido is strong, and it doesn't matter which lineage you're talking about. Kyoto was strong. There's a lot of really good instructors out there of various ranks and positions, and some have organizations and some don't. And we can belong to different, follow those different legacies. Yourself, Ando, Chida, it doesn't matter. Each of the Thambus is not as strong. After Kyoto, I went to Tokyo and visited, and nice little dojos.
We'll come back to that, Nic. Right. Jim, where do you see us now?
Well, I agree with Friend Sensei and Mills Sensei, but I think we're at a pivotal point, because we can't break up much further than this. So now everybody's kind of on their own. So if we can find a way to be happy on our own, but come together, it's a perfect time, a perfect chance now. It can't get much worse, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Jim, sorry, Darren will know this, but I've been saying it can't get any worse since 2007. Progressively got worse. Sorry. And yep, Ramlan, where do you see us now?
I think everyone is on their own. There seems to be so many individual groups all over the world. That can be positive, but there's still hope to get everyone together. I think just need to find a reason, a leader for everyone to come together, to say.
Okay, I'll save my thoughts. What makes the Yoshinkan distinctive from other Aikido groups, martial arts organizations? What makes us who we are? Nic, you want to go first?
Sure, give it a shot. Well, in terms of Yoshinkan versus other Aikido, styles of Aikido, I think that, or most other styles anyway, I think that what separates Yoshinkan is its martial effectiveness and training that way. Strike hard, block hard, train hard. Understanding who your partner is, of course. But I think that separates us from other forms of Aikido. Organizationally, I think Yoshinkan has done what pretty much every other martial art has done. They splinter. So I don't think we're that different in a lot of ways from other martial arts organizations, or even like Aikikai splintered into a bunch of different, concepts or legacies or whatever you want to call it. And now Yoshinkan's done the same thing. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Ramlan, what makes it different, distinctive?
To me, different is the style, the attitude, the spirit, and say how we are strict regimen of training Aikido compared to other organizations. But it seems now everything become almost similar. So the Yoshinkan nowadays and the Aikido nowadays about the same. Everything start to be more like a leisure club. So there's no big difference nowadays compared to those days.
Okay, Jim?
Well, I guess it depends on each dojo of each style of Aikido, but first and foremost, I would say the Yoshinkan syllabus, and that's what we have to maintain. From the techniques, the rest will just naturally fall together, I guess. But the short answer is the syllabus, the Yoshinkan syllabus.
Okay. Darren?
I'd say the spirit of Buddha, like chasing the spirit of Buddha, was the sort of cornerstone or underpinning the Yoshinkan values. And I feel that if we're not careful, that we can, move away from that and sort of devolve into something else. But if you follow Buddha as a principle, if you follow what that is meant to mean, and I don't want to get into a long philosophical, description of what that should be, that would be the driving force for the martial arts that you train.
Sorry, you used two different words in that paragraph. Once you said is, and the other one you said was.
Yes.
The Yoshinkan is and the Yoshinkan was. Which is it?
It's still there, but I would say that as I said, if we're not careful, if we're not careful, we can move away from it. So, little things start to add up, right? If you don't maintain Metsuke, that's the beginning for me.
Okay. Now, all four of you were at Kyoto.
Yes.
What did you see or not see from what you said? Kyoto is a good, a fair accounting of who we are.
Yeah.
We have people from, lots of different ranks, from white belts to eighth dans, different organizations, different dojos. Did you see or not see what you wanted to see that made us distinctive?
Jim,
you get to go first this time.
Yeah, me.
No, Jim. Let Jim go first this time. Let's switch around.
Yeah, it was a great experience for me to see a lot of people from different dojos, different groups. But it was hard to judge each person, one person individually, on their whole group, because I didn't get to see the whole group, of course. But in a way, I found it was good to have, I guess, in a way, like a friendly rivalry. So you could see other people ways of they're doing it. It's different the way that you're doing it, but you can compare and try to pick up things. And I think it was a good experience overall.
I'm gonna call that a cop-out answer.
Right.
That's fine. But did you see the essence of Buddha in the people you saw?
In some, not all. But like I said, I can't judge this one person from this dojo and think that their whole dojo must be crap. But I've seen a lot of good technique and spirit from some people and not as much from others.
Okay.
But again,
Darren?
I can see that within my dojo as well.
Okay, Darren?
No, I agree with Jim. And again, you're looking at, what was there, 120 people there. So it's a very broad sample, but if, basics are basics. So if you don't know and I'm going to use the Japanese terminology, if you don't know if you don't know Metsuke, right? If you don't know not to turn your back on your partner, things like that, right? Then the essence of Buddha is not there for me. You're just going through the motions.
Okay. Nic?
Can you refresh my mind on the question? Sorry.
Bloody Canadians, honestly.
It's a bit late. Come on.
When you're talking about Buddha, did you see what you expect to see from the different people in Kyoto? That being a representative of who we are.
So basically, I agree with Jim. I saw some people with all the stuff I wanted to see, expected to see, was anticipating, and some sort of, and some not so much. And it's the same, I think, in probably everybody's individual dojo across probably all martial arts. You have some people who train with a different attitude. we keep our clubs alive by people who are coming in for recreation and fun. And then some of those people want, like Darren's talking about, and I agree with Darren, that full Budo, full dive in. So
Sure.
it's what I expected, and I think it was fine. Like it
Okay.
was a good example.
Ramlan, did you see what you think was Yoshinkan Aikido in the spirit of Yoshinkan?
Personally, the event is successful to gather all the Yoshinkan together, but I expect more on the Budo aspect from everyone. I think it's just not solid, it's very loose. So there's so many things that, like people sitting around, train, and then go out, giggle. So the Budo aspect are going down. Personally, for me, it's going down.
Okay, all right. All right, let's move on, okay? What's in the name? And I'll make this a double barrel question. What's in the name? And how important is the Japanese connection? Nic, you're going to go first this time.
Am I? I thought Darren was. Okay. What's in a name?
So no, it's the Yoshinkan, Renshinkai, Shurokan, Ryu, Shioda. What's in the name? Is it important? Is the Japanese connection important?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I it's not that I like it, but it's not that important to me anymore personally. But I have quite a few students who want to know, like on their first contact with the dojo, are you affiliated with an international organization? So the answer to that is yes. And you know, there's a website there, and people can go and see it and stuff like that. So that helps, I think, with new students. But once they're in, or it helps with some new students, some, not all, some don't even ask, but once they're in, then it's up to the individual instructor in the dojo and how they you know have created what the environment that they've created.
Okay, Jim, you have a unique. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, go ahead. No,
I was going to cut you off.
Oh yeah, okay.
Right. So Jim, you've got a unique perspective on this, being in Japan. So thanks, Nic. Can you shed any light on how important people who come to Japan want that link, or that we're looking at it from across the pond?
So yeah, like you said, you're looking at it from over there, but from within Japan, like recently, Ando Sensei separated from the Yoshinkan, and we had our summer test, our fall test, and our winter test, and we've been handing out certificates. And I mean, it no longer says the one organization, now it just says Aikido Ryu Ando Sensei. And I think 99% of the students didn't even realize, didn't even notice, don't care. Of course, some of the seniors who had the connection with other dojos and might care more, but within Japan, but definitely within the beginners, I don't think it's that important at first anyways.
Okay, Darren?
Yeah, I don't really have a big perspective on it, but we just redid our website last week or 2 weeks ago, and we culled it a lot. So I used to have a lot of the history of, you know, the Yoshinkan organization, Shioda Sensei, etc., and I've culled all that out and made it bare bones minimum, because most people don't ask about it. When they get to know me, they'll ask, or they can do their own research. But I just felt like we had too much content, and it's really not relevant, unfortunately. And as for the name, what I would say is the name I would like to see as being relevant, but for it to be relevant, the people behind the names need to be relevant.
All right, good. Ramlan, please.
In the beginning, I always believed that we need a Japanese name, and most of the students, when they join us, the first thing they look in the website, are we affiliated to any big organization? But now I've changed my mindset, because at the end of the day, it's about you, it's about what you can do and how you promote yourself. So it's not a big deal anymore for me to say.
Okay, let me play the devil's advocate, most unlike me, Nic. But in the past, I used to get a lot of people who'd come and know about Yoshinkan Aikido, know about the history or my history, wanting to join. Right now, I don't get any. Is it because, and the people who knew that were people who already did martial arts, whether it's Aikido or other things. Now we don't get people who do other martial arts wanting to do Yoshinkan Aikido. Is that an indictment on our reputation?
Maybe on Aikido alone itself, Sensei, got nothing to do with Yoshinkan. With
Okay,
the
fair enough.
everyday around, with the sports, everything, all that. So it's just the name of Aikido are lacking down all over the world, not the brand alone.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I think there's just too much information out there now. Too many YouTube, TikTok, whatever, different videos, different teachers, instructors, dojos putting up videos. So it's just too much for someone who's a beginner at Budo, or someone who's interested in Budo, interested in martial arts, searching.
Nic?
Actually, I find the opposite. I've have a few students that have come in and done their research and know and have read up. Most of them, they have maybe heard the name Aikido, a friend told them about it, but they don't know, they don't know anything Yoshinkan from Aikikai to anything else, and probably don't really care that much. It's Aikido, and yeah, you have to explain to them that there's a difference. And have you ever asked someone, "Oh, I do Aikido, really? What?" And you ask them what style, and they go, "Oh, I don't know." That's someone from Aikikai, right? Like, because they, I think Yoshinkan people and other styles, Tamiki, they know that there are different styles of Aikido. But if a lot of the Aikikai people don't realize that anybody's doing anything different. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
It's not really a big thing, I think, for.
Okay, all right. Darren?
Don't really have much to add. I agree with what everybody else said. I would say that I remember some time ago when I was still training with you, that people would occasionally come in and they'd argue about how Aikido was done based on a book they've read. Now people come in and they've got all these perspectives on Aikido based on videos that they've watched. That's the thing that's changed. And there's so many more videos than there are books.
Cool. So now I got one more question before we move to the second part of the interview. And that's, what do you see as our problems technically, philosophically, organizationally? What do you see as the problems facing the Yoshinkan system of Aikido? And Ramlan, you get to go first this time.
I think it's everything, they say, philosophy, technique, organization, every part contribute to something. Technique-wise, nowadays maybe all the top instructors think that they're the best, and people try to sell themselves, and they try to do a lot of funny things. You can see all over YouTube, Facebook, everything. So that contributes to a lot of things. I have students came to me and they said, Aikido does not work. But they are right, because what you see on YouTube, Facebook, everything, to me, are crabs. So the information out there are spoiling everything. But all this due to the instructor himself. I think most of them reach a certain level, there's a certain mindset, they start to do funny things. From my view, I might be wrong, but my personal view is they start doing a lot of things like no touch Aikido. One person go against 10, and then they try to imitate MMA, but they off track from the Aikido principle. So this too much information.
And organizationally?
Organization, because there's no proper leadership, there's no central base, then everybody start to create their own things. That's the splinters, and if you got the wrong leaders up there, everybody just become politic.
Guys, before we continue, just a quick note, yeah? You know, I have lots of friends in other martial arts, other Aikido groups. They're watching us. They're watching the Yoshinkan. And because we're transparent, we're discussing it in the open. Whereas all the other styles keep it quiet and they don't say anything at all. So, I mean, what we're talking about is a lesson, not just for the Yoshinkan world, but for the greater Budo world. Because everyone goes through this sort of stuff. And we're unique in that, because of the history and discrepancies, for want of a better word, we are where we are. And we're talking openly. There's a lot of transparency here. So, Darren, you want to go next?
So we're talking about the
any issues you see, problems organizationally,
well,
for example,
I mean,
let me throw something at you, okay? Just
okay.
to handing out of downgrades, the
I was just
timelines.
go there.
Okay, right. Sorry, go for it.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is an organizational problem because downgrades come from an organization, don't they? Whether it be the individual's organization, the individual instructors who've gone off on their own, or whether it comes from the Hombu, it's the same. Basically, it's the same thing now, and it's complacency, and basically complacency. That you can see very clearly for those who've been around for a while that the level required has diminished, right? And this goes way back to when I was at Hombu, and we were always pushing back in the old IYAF days for the instructor and the downgradings to be separated, right? So that they would be different things, but particularly in North America, they went together always. You go up a dan, you went up an instructor level with no check on what your capacity as an instructor was. And now those chickens have come home to roost.
Okay. Nic, being North American, you can follow
Yeah,
up?
I'm North American, and yeah, that I'm not going to name names, but that started from a particular
Careful,
set of
lawsuits.
Huh?
Lawsuits.
Yeah. So and they match them. It's you do your Dan test. It doesn't really. There's most dojos do not differentiate between someone can get a black belt or a knee dan, but they're never going to instruct, and someone who is going to instruct and continue. I actually helped grade someone to 6th dan, but it wasn't in Yoshinkan. I didn't realize that at the time, and I said, "Well, I can't grade that." And he said, "Oh yeah, you can. It's not Yoshinkan. It's a different legacy, whatever." And a guy tested for 6th dan, and it, I was like, no. But the sensei said, look, he's been here forever. He's 65. He's never going to have his own dojo. He's, this is just, and I said, okay. And they did it at a Hombu for non-instructors. And that's fine. I think there's lots of reasons. Sometimes you give some, but the instructor certificate or the instructor's bump, that's what we have to.
Okay.
I don't know how you roll that back. But.
Okay. But sorry, before we go into Jim, what other problems are there?
Well, I can't really. Oh, sorry. Was that going on at Jim or?
No. You. Or anyone.
Well,
what other problems?
I can't. I don't think I can speak to the other organizations because I don't interact with them as a Hombu organization like Renshinkai. I don't really interact with them, so I don't know. I know a little bit about your organization, and of course I know about the Yoshinkan. And at least from a Western sense, I don't see any leadership. They don't do anything to. They do nothing. The Yoshinkan Hombu is. I don't know why but they don't lead. They should be sort of, I don't know, promoting the people who are there now. They're not bad. I train there. Some of the instructors are not so bad. I mean, they're not Tita Sensei or anything like that, but not bad. So why aren't you promoting them and trying to? Why isn't the Yoshinkan Hombu doing things to promote the whole organization? I don't really see that with other organizations either. But there's no leadership.
Okay. All right.
That's for sure.
Let's move on to Jim. So leadership's a problem, downgrade's a problem. Jim, anything else?
Well, first about the high gradings. I've never had like a 5th Q or 4th Q come up to me and say, can you believe so-and-so got his 5th dan, 6th dan? I think it's usually only a problem between other 5th dans and 6th dans who feel that they've worked hard, they've earned it more than these new people who are getting their dank seemingly easily. But it's too early over here in Japan to get me started on this topic. I think there's tons of problems with it, but we'll have to save that for another day. But I wanted to talk about what Ramlan Sensei was saying about the internet. So I think this is a big problem now. with people who are just putting up stuff. Everybody has to one up the other person just to get the views and the followers. And then this is there's no heart and soul behind the technique. It's just for show. So they're trying to do the techniques that you or Thambu Sensei, you or Mustard Sensei or Ando Sensei, Cheetah Sensei, they go to a seminar for 30 minutes and they go back to their dojos and then they try to teach their students these techniques that they've only learned over 30 minutes or a weekend seminar. And that's just bringing down the whole level of Yoshinkan style Aikido in general, I think. I think we have to go back to the syllabus and the basics and just work harder like all our seniors and teachers did.
Sorry, I'm just gonna ask a question, right? So we talk about the Yoshinkan basics and how wonderful it is, how great it is, right? But isn't that our stumbling block with beginners? People who come in, maybe not so much in Japan, but outside, they get bored, they get bogged down with the basics, and then they don't come back after the first or second or third class. So what is our strength? I see as our weakness. Do you want to comment on that?
Well,
You don't
I think
have to agree.
I do agree, and it happens over here in Japan as well. So I think that's the instructor's problem. We have to find a better way to make the basics, make the simple techniques interesting, instead of trying to cover up with advanced techniques or flashy techniques or weapons or self-defense. I mean, if we can teach,
I do all of those anyway.
so if we could teach the basics and make them interesting, then the core will be solid, and then it'll just naturally be able to do the flashy, fancy techniques.
Okay. Does anyone want to comment about the Yoshinkan syllabus? Because you said it's important.
Yeah.
Are we stuck in it, Darren?
I wouldn't say we're stuck. I don't feel stuck. But what I would say is that the syllabus has depth, right? It's a vertical syllabus. Now, you can go and add to it, but then the depth becomes less. And from my perspective, what I've seen is people in different dojos, different instructors who haven't really followed the depth, haven't gone in depth into their techniques, into their kihon, and have become sort of upset or disenchanted with the techniques because they can't really apply them. And then they start looking for other things. And so then their syllabus gradually splits out, and it's like, oh, I'll bring in a bit of karate, and I'll bring in a bit of this, and I'll bring in a bit of that. And the fact is that they're basically the old saying, the jack of all trades, master of none. Right? And from a teaching perspective, right, I really enjoy teaching basics because I go to the effort of explaining why these basics are important, and the students get it. And so then the students they want to do it. If I just said, and I have had a lot of experience teaching at Hombu, where we used to get the Sensei come through, and at the end of that, we'd get them to start teaching, and they would teach basics very, very well in terms of how they would show the basics. But and they would be quite happy to grind people into the ground because that's what had happened to them. But they hadn't yet developed the capacity to explain why those basics were important. That's what you need to do if you want to keep your students. You've got to explain.
Okay,
it's not enough explaining.
Nic, next, keep it short.
Yeah. What's wrong with our syllabus? Are we stuck in the syllabus? I think we can be. I think I was, and really tried over the last, I don't know, decade or something to get out of the Kihon Waza all the time and explore and just have some fun with it. And my black belts, I try and do that with them as well once they're sort of Nidan Sandan. But I agree with Darren that and with Jim, you can make teaching the basic movements, the basic techniques fun and engaging and interesting and by what, like Darren said, including the why. Here's why we do that, and show them on a senior center line power. This is what you get when you practice it, and yeah.
Okay,
sure, done.
Ramlan, thank you.
Yeah, I think basic is important to say, but the problem now is, as Darren Sensei said, uh, they don't have the in-depth in the basic himself. And normally me myself, when people like recently I have a movie shoot. There's Akikai choreographed the fighting scene. I look at them, even the crew asked me, they said that's not Aikido. Because looks like dancing, everything. But when I go, I show the basic, I explain to them how to use it. Then I show them my self defense. People understand. So beginners normally first day, I will show them the fancy stuff, but I direct them. You can't achieve this without a proper basic, proper foundation. Basic is everything, but basic alone is not going to bring you anywhere.
Okay. Anybody care to add anything before we move on to the second part? No? Okay, cool. All right. So now, where to from here? Before we talk about how to get there, what's your wish list in seeing us move on? That of yours, not just for you, but for your students. We're all in it for the greater good. We want to improve our students. We want to improve Aikido, be it Yoshinkan or whatever. What's your wish list? Darren, you're on the left of the
I
screen.
think
You go first.
more like Kyoto was a huge event and it had its place, but something more smaller, like, and more intimate gashku type things, whether they be held in Japan or whether they be held locally, would help to build the enthusiasm and give people a sense of wider Aiki community.
Okay, Nic?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few of us talking about, doing something like Kyoto down the road. I know John just announced that he's doing something in 2025, which is sort of a replica or a second memorial, and that's great. I like the idea of the big seminars. I do a lot of seminars, not that scale, on a regular basis, and the whole community was always welcome. And I think that's important. Those, I agree with Darren, gashkus or smaller seminars and clinics, especially from the top guys, yourself, Mustard, Pae, senseis, and Chida and Ando, and that kind of level. I think exposure to those people is that level of Aikido is really important.
Okay. And Jim?
I think within most the bigger groups, probably within their organizations, they already have events, gashkus, kagami birakis, seminars, whatever. But I think for the smaller groups, the ones that are out in the middle of nowhere, they don't really have any other nearby dojos, a way to collaborate between other dojos. Of course, Kyoto was a big event, everybody came together. But like Friend Sensei was saying, more intimate, smaller, even just two dojos together doing something, and then slowly spreading that kind of teamwork out.
Okay, Ramlan?
I want to see the top level of instructors and say working on the same frequency, so the lower ground are not lost. And say, so if I bring any lower junior student to a big seminar with top Shihan up there, they are lost. It seems like everything are doing different things, so that are splitting the Yoshinkan world, maybe the Aikido world.
Ramlan, I go to Chida Sensei's seminar and I'm lost.
Yeah, but
Okay. Okay. So
Before we move on, can I do a plug?
yeah.
Okay.
Go.
So put in your calendars for October this year in Tokyo. We're planning a gashku at the old Ochiai Hombu Dojo. That's Takashima Sensei's dojo. It'll be Takashima Sensei, myself, and John Marshall Sensei, and it's limited to 40 people. So
Cool.
you, with three of us teaching, so the three of us will be teaching each class. That means that you'll probably be in a group of 13 to 14 people, with one of us as instructors rotating through.
Cool.
There's a
Sounds good.
website that will be coming up soon, and more details to come, but just stay tuned.
All right. So moving on to what you'd like to see. I posed this question on the Yoshinkan Aikido Fellowship Facebook page. And one of the things I got coming back was unity. Is it too late for that? Is it impossible to put the two space back in the tube?
Unity for whom?
For the whole group. For the whole group.
Yeah,
I mean, this is a wish list I'm talking about. I'm throwing at you what people say.
Yeah, I know. But like, I'm just thinking of individual personalities and whether that can be achieved or not.
Mm-hmm.
Sensei, like the top level, Sensei, if they can work together, down there can follow. That's stopping everyone from being together.
Okay.
Yeah. Aikido, the I part, the harmony, we all, work with each other, blend. Yeah. So apparently that lesson was lost on lots of people. Like and I'm talking about all the high ranks above everybody here.
That's because there wasn't enough spirit in the eye.
Okay.
Jim, what do you think?
Yeah, unfortunately, probably impossible. As much as I'd like to see everybody come back together, I think in some kind of loose form, it could be done. But just like early 90s when Kushida Sensei was asked about the IYAF, I mean, all these bigger groups already have their own system, their own yearly schedule to try to just put that together and work around other groups. I think it's just probably impossible. But like I said, in a loose form, in some way, it can be done. But as one big happy organization, not now, definitely.
Yeah, I think I agree. It's not, I don't think now or ever is it going to become one organization again. But the top teachers aren't really good role models for harmonizing and blending. Sorry, they're not. When I started Aikido here, all the top senseis in Ontario hated each other. We talked to each other. They hated each other. It was horrible. But now, we go to different dojos. I'm friends with, well, I would say the vast majority of Aikido Yoshinkan Aikido instructors in Southern Ontario, and a lot of us know each other, and we don't have any hard feelings. And some people like each other more than others, but it's pretty good. But it's the top guys; they're not setting a good example.
All right, let me just. I don't know who you mean to be the top guys. Do you want to throw some names there?
Well, I think it's great that you and yourself and Paya Sensei and Mustard Sensei can get along, and now are 3 different organizations. That's a good example of what I would like to see. That's my wish list for Aikido Ryu with Ando Sensei and Chita Sensei, Chino. They're all out there teaching in individual little dojos, and they all have their own little fiefdom. It's not coming back together as one. But boy, it'd be nice if they could role model getting along, for example.
Anyone else? Before I want to say something, but I'll listen to anything else. And I'm addressing this because people have said this on the Facebook page. The unity seems to be a big thing, a testing committee, that sort of thing. Some sort of, if not all holding hands and singing Kumbaya, some sort of uniformity, some sort of standard. What do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's great if you can achieve it.
Sorry?
Great
Darren?
if you can achieve it.
Okay, Nic, you're going to say something?
I was just being a smart ass. Yeah, I like campfires and singing Kumbaya. That's all I was saying. Yeah.
Okay, Jim?
Sorry, what was the question?
We're talking about unity. So to have unity, there has to be some sort of things that hold us together, i.e. Some uniformity in gradings or a standard for downgrades, etc. Everyone wearing the Yoshinkan thing on their dogi. What do you think?
Well, again, I'll go back to the syllabus. So again, we have to have at least a set syllabus for gradings. So of course, plus alpha, you can add your own stuff that you like to do at your dojo. But I think the test should be at least one set test. And then if you want to do more, then that's fine. But I see a lot of tests where well, hear of a lot of tests with parts being cut out to add parts that I don't feel are necessarily that relevant to the Yoshinkan style.
Okay, Ramlan?
Just oh, sorry.
I still go back to the argument like all 8 dance onwards, they lead their own organization. They are together in the seminar, but at the same time, they are talking like, okay, his style is wrong. I disagree with that. I disagree with this. So if there's no proper leader up there, the Yoshinkan syllabus is just a minimum guideline to put everyone together. But to get a strong bonding, it's up to the 8 dan onwards to lead us to get together and agree on something, even though they don't agree with each other. But in the face of everyone should be one frequency, isn't it?
Okay, that's interesting. Nic, you're
Can
going
I-
to say something?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Jim that the Yoshinkan syllabus is really important, that we need to focus on that. And extras are great, but they got to be just the extras, not replacing those the core syllabus that we have. But the other thing is, yeah, we do need some sort of a testing committee, and that's not gonna fly. Well, that's my kind of wish list, a testing committee. Yes,
No,
should be-
wish list is what we're talking about. And
right,
that's what,
because
you know,
you can. Sorry, go ahead, Sensei.
my reasoning in asking the question is like, few grades never ask this. Shodans, Nidan don't ask this. It's the guys you have as Sandan, Yondans who are asking, what's my teacher doing? What's he thinking? Where am I going?
Mhm.
It's those people that we need to address.
Yeah,
We derelict in our duty if we don't think about the next generation.
right. So, but one of the problems with the testing outside of, we have a common syllabus, some people might muck around with it a bit, but 2 people can do a test in one dojo and do the exact same test as another 2 people in another dojo. And yes, they completed the techniques, but one pair, there's nothing there. It's sloppy. It's fumbly. It's whatever. They get through it, but they don't. It's certainly not inspiring.
Yeah. I hear
and
you.
another group does great, but the problem is
like
both
that
of
in
them
the
put it up
Yoshinkan Hombu Dojo as well, right? They used
Sorry?
to be like that. Used to be like that in the Yoshinkan Hombu Dojo.
What's that? That's
The levels within levels. Used to
Sure,
be like
but-
that on your course.
Yeah. In my
Level,
course, but we
everyone
weren't-
passed, but there were levels between levels, you know?
Sure,
So,
but we weren't
yeah.
we weren't instructors at the Hombu Dojo at the time. And we were all like Shodan, Nidan, whatever. We weren't 7th, 8th Dan, 9th Dan, whatever. When we were
okay,
in this,
all right. So
the instructors all had like there was a bar there. The taxi cab drivers had a completely different bar,
Yep.
but they never
Okay.
taught.
sorry, Nic. Is there anything else you guys would like to see happen? Maybe a testing committee, Nic, some sort of loose unity, clinics, collaboration, Ramlan's top level working together. Sorry, Jim.
Okay, if we're talking about wish lists, then how about how to teach a regular class? Like, for example, Thambu Sensei, Mustard Sensei, Pai Sensei, all the big teachers at the seminars, of course, I think you often say it in your seminars. So a seminar is different than regular class. But I think most of the people who attend the seminars, unfortunately, go back to their dojos and teach the same way. So the basics aren't getting put in there as they should be. If we put up videos of just a regular boring class of students just repeating the Hirikinyosi, just repeating Ikajo over and over, maybe the younger teachers in smaller dojos would see this and say, oh, this is a regular class. And this is how we slowly develop these core principles that we can use to do these fancy techniques that all these top guys do in their seminars. So I think a lot of people don't understand that the stuff you see on YouTube, the stuff you try out at seminars is different than how everybody's teaching in solid dojos. I think we have to get that information out there.
Okay.
Can I just add something, Sensei?
Yep.
Yeah, so there's a number of dojos. Well, I've hosted you and Pai and Mustard Sensei a number of times, and I've not just at my own dojo, but I've gone to those seminars. I tell you, walk outside at lunch or at a break or something like that, And this happens almost every seminar. You know, there's someone there, might be a brown belt, might be a shodan or an idan, and they'll go, oh, that was really cool. I got that. I really got that thing that whoever you yourself or Pai or Mustard or Cheetah or on, I got that. It was cool. And you just look at them and you go, you know, you trained with them or whatever. They didn't get it. They don't have they don't have a fucking clue. But in their mind, they got it. And I don't know. I have said a couple of times to people I know when they say, yeah, I got that. I'm like, no, you didn't.
Nic,
I said,
that's
I
one of
didn't
the
get it. You didn't get
that's
it.
one of the prerogatives of being a brown belt or a shodan. You
Is
get
it?
to think you know everything. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's my prerogative to slap him in the back of the head then.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Darren, you
Jesus.
got anything you want to say?
Yeah, no, I can't really add anything
Okay.
here.
So guys, we're gonna wind it up now, right? The words Yoshin, that's what hold us together, our history, etc., etc. You got any thoughts on that? But let me just, yeah, any thoughts on that? The words Yoshin is who we are and is how we got here. All of us, right? It doesn't matter what brand we wear now. How do we keep that going? Last question. Nic, go for it.
Who? Me?
Yeah, you're Nic.
Okay. I think that's up to individual instructors. The building the spirit. I mean, you know, the Sensei course is was kind of the epitome of that, but that can be replicated in a lot of dojos. You don't have to do the Sensei course. Training has to be hard. You have to train with intensity and focus and concentration and metsuke. And if you do that builds your spirit, which is builds your character, builds your spirit. There's demands on how you train are supposed to translate into life as well. I don't know, but the only way I think that can continue, it's through all of us. And if you make it too easy to get cues or dans or anything like that, then no one has to build their spirit to get there.
So how do you get that when a top teacher throws an uke and the uke lies on the mat, laughs and says, that was great? In my dojo, I'd kick the prick. But people are encouraged to do that.
Yeah. Maybe in seminars, I think people sort of get wowed a little more like that.
It shouldn't happen anywhere. And that's what Darren's talking about, the little things. The zanshin, the metsuke, the reiho. I mean, who cares if one of you 6 dans or 7 dans throws a brown belt and the brown belt says, that was great. It's not his place to say, but that's what's happening. Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't meant to say anything. Hey guys, next thing, the word Yoshin. How do we keep that? Jim, anything? You don't have to answer if you don't want to.
I guess just the game shouldn't evolve. The players and coaches should. Well, Nic Sensei would understand. So like ice hockey. So the distance between the nets or the length of the periods, the base doesn't change, but we have to find a better way to make the players stronger. So I think if we can continue coaching better, like we said halfway through this interview about making the basics and the techniques and the core principles and spirit of Yoshinkan more interesting and appealing to the younger students and the public, then we can continue the Yoshinkan style. But I don't think we have to add or change anything now. We just have to do a better job of preserving it to make it more interesting.
Cool. Ramlan?
That's a tough question, Yoshin. I think that's the key to everything. But the top leaders, when they train those days, they have that Yoshin. But now they change. Maybe they are old age. Maybe they have difficulty to maintain student. Some dojo, they have a lot of kids. Some dojo have old people only. Some dojo have mix. So the top leaders change. They maybe mellow down. Then the Yoshin start to disappear. So you come back to the individual leadership. If the leader is not showing the right example, he goes down the road. So it depends on individuals.
Listen to my answer about ace dance and above coming together when I talk to Mustard Sensei and Pai Sensei and Ruben Sensei. listen to my answer then. Anyone else care to add anything, gentlemen?
On Yoshin,
Or Yoshin, or anything you want to say?
well, as I agree with what everybody else has said, Yoshin is to develop your spirit. How do you develop your spirit? You have to do it through experience. How do you get experience? Well, you can choose how to get your experiences in life. You can like buy a ticket to go on a cruise ship and be pampered along the way, or you can choose to backpack across whatever. What I'm saying is, if you want to be an instructor, you want to go up in rank, then you need to think about where are you going to get your experiences from. Right? You can just sit in your own dojo and just wait for the time to pass by. And as time passes, and we've all seen this, a steady click, 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 up the ladder you go, but no experience to go with it. So it's up to the individual to seek out the experiences that they need to develop themselves.
Cool. Yeah, X-Wise will do that for you. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Hashtag keep the flame alive. Why hashtag? Because Mark Hadiaja said so. Guys, thank you very much. Now, people, what I'm going to do is put this and another interview with another set of 6th and 7th dance together, and then I'll take it to the 8th dance. But for my part, what I really liked about this was right from the start, when I started the group, there was a lot of easy and jovial banter between all of you. And I really like that. So don't wait for the 8th dance to get together. You guys are doing it now. Os, thank you.
Thank you.
Os.
Thank you very much.
Os.
Yes, thank you.